But I'm back to finish off the game. But why had Miss Hirabayashi resorted to such practices? How had she gone about it? Find out now. Let myself be overwhelmed by the following memory in order to find an answer to my questions. Regret. The third seal. Why did you ask me to meet you here? I hope you have a good reason. It took me more than an hour to reach you. I have to tell you something very important. I couldn't talk to you about it at the academy, and I don't want to take any chances. I know you've done a lot for me to help hide my daughter, but the situation has become somewhat more complicated. Something happened to Yuna? No, it's not about Yuna. Well, not directly. It's about Rika. Oh, you wanted to tell me about your wife. This is the last time I'm going anywhere for you, Takashi. Thank you for, once again, wasting my time. I already told you, I don't want to get involved in your couple stories. Is that so difficult to understand? I know, yes, but I'm doing this for Yuna. Rika's situation has gotten worse. When the doctors thought it would be a few years, then it became a few weeks. Soon Rika will not only not remember me, but Yuna as well. Soon, very soon, she will be no more than a husk that the doctors will keep alive to keep their conscience clean. I am sorry. It'll be especially hard for Yuna. Obviously, I'm sad this part of my life will soon come to a close. But Rika and I have been separated for almost 3 years. I had more or less turned that page. But who will take care of Yuna now? She'll be alone. I've hardly ever seen her since she was born. She barely recognizes me when she sees me. I can't reappear out of blue without a good reason. She would become an orphan if you don't. Is that not enough? You're her father, Takashi, and she's still a baby. Yuna is just 3 years old. You still have time to get to know each other. I think you're afraid your secret will be discovered. I'm right, aren't I? I didn't think you were such a coward. I knew you were a manipulator, a liar, and, well, the list would be too long. But this, it's not about you, Takashi. You can't hide anymore. More complicated than that. There's something else. Of course there's something else. There's always something else with you. You know, as an Esper, I felt that her powers began to manifest. And you couldn't start with that? This is obviously a problem, a very big problem, especially for you. And if it's a problem for you, then it is for me too. I am complicit in all that you have done to hide her in recent years. And you know very well as I do what will happen when she's detected. They will study her family lineage and your name will appear at the top of the list. You will not be able to hide her anymore, and my name will most likely follow within their investigation highlights or practices. That's why I asked you to meet me here. I have an idea, but I'm going to need you, once again. An idea? You mean a plan that would disproportionately involve me? You want me to take more risks, is that it? It is too early to talk about it. I still have to take the time to understand Yuna's powers. With a little luck, they will remain discreet and we won't have anything to do. Your daughter's power is discreet. Takashi, you're well above average. You're a well above average Esper, and Yuna will holy crap. And Yuna will have inherited that. You'd better have a good solution to offer me. I don't want to be struck off for giving in to your whims. It is probably my fault if we are in this situation, because I was weak and trusted you. But I will not anymore. I won't do anything else unless it's in Yuna's best interest. This means that I won't hesitate to reveal your secrets if necessary. I warn you, Takashi. Even if I am only involved in all of this because of you, I know those who might discover everything would not distinguish between you and I. These are not empty threats. If it turns out that revealing everything is the right solution, you can be sure that I will do it. I'm involved just as much as you, and I have a word to say in the story. Don't worry, I have a plan. We won't need to come to that. I'll get back to you in a few weeks when things have progressed. Are you sure you don't want to come back to work at the academy full-time? It would make things easier in these difficult times. Absolutely certain. The further I am from you and your shenanigans, the better off I am. My current role suits me perfectly, and there are enough teachers to support you in your work when it is necessary. Besides, I didn't have much to do as an assistant. I was mostly there to cover your back, nothing more. This new work as an examiner is perfect for me and allows me to see the world and the country. I see. I will get in touch with you soon then, when I'm certain of the procedure to follow. Back at the principal's office later on. I know you do not care, but Rika lost consciousness 6 days ago and fell into a coma that no one knows if she will come out of one day. It was only told last night. You don't seem particularly affected by that. I don't really have time to mope, and it's not as if what happened was a surprise. We knew that our illness would eventually lead to this. We were both prepared for it, and there is something more serious to do now. Yuna's powers continue to grow. It's only a matter of months before an academy becomes aware of her. Yuna is powerful, as you predicted. My career. Don't worry, I know what to do. Everything will be fine. Now is the time when I need your help. And what are you planning to do? No Esper can pass eternally between the cracks. Unless you take her to the moon, Yuna will be detected. You won't be able to do anything about it. No, but you can do something about it. What? No, don't even think about it. That's not out of the question, Takashi. I refuse. It's the only solution, Ren. No. That's not a solution. That's anything but a solution. You will not make me seal Yuna's powers without the OUE's approval. I have already had to pay enough for your mistakes. I still have a chance to get by. Do not give me a second time. You're on your own this time, Takashi. Not just for me that I want to do this, it's also for Yuna. For Yuna, you say, and by what miracle could that help her? If you decide to take me for a fool, I'll stop you right now. It won't work. Like a certain person here, I learned from my mistakes. I told you that Yuna's powers were powerful. I lied to you. They are not just powerful, they are out of the ordinary for an Esper of her age. I never felt anything like it. I don't know what to think. That don't look like anything I know. I want to protect her from that, Ren. No, you want to protect yourself. Have I ever lied to you? Look me in the eyes, Ren. In the eyes. Oh, he does that a lot. Apparently. Stop it, you spend your time lying to everyone. I don't have the strength to find out how many times you've done it to me. For Yuna. You're beyond, wait, what? You're beyond help, Takashi, says Takashi. Doesn't make any sense. I will study Yuna's powers, but nothing more. If I judge, and only if I judge, that something needs to be done, then I will decide what the best thing to do is, which involves bringing Yuna here to train her, and thus revealing everything. And if you try to force my hand, even if that idea just crosses your mind, you would do this without me. Have I been clear enough? You're the boss. As long as you do what's best for Yuna, I'm fine. Very well, take me to her. One moment. I will send the person who looks after the house home and look for Yuna. There's my angel. Been a long time since you've seen your dad, huh? Who is the prettiest little girl? It's you, yes it is. And who has the most annoying voice that I gave? It's Takashi! How could a monster like you give birth to such a pretty little girl? She must take after her mother without a shadow of a doubt. Lady here is a friend of your dad, Yuna. Now we haven't seen each other since you were born, but you have to trust me. I'm here for you. Everything will be fine. Get back, Takashi. You're scaring her. Your name is Yuna. You're a pretty little girl, you know. I'll stay a little with you and watch you because you're very beautiful, okay? Won't hurt you. Do not worry. Takashi, can you leave the room, please? Leave the room? Why? Because you're scaring Yuna. If she is not relaxed, I can't expect her powers properly. Do not argue. Do what I tell you. Oh, very well. I'll be in the kitchen. Tell me, Yuna, how old are you now? 3, 4? You know how to talk. What could you say? I see. Don't worry. I too was like you when I was little. I was a very intelligent little girl, but much less cute. This rapid development of my abilities had a paradoxical effect on me. It was delayed my first words. Can you tell me the first thing that goes through your head, my little Yuna? That is not an appropriate baby Yuna voice. That's very good, Yuna. You're a wonderful little girl. You are already very intelligent, much more than I was at your age. Doing my best over here, okay? Stay calm, okay? I'm going to test how talented you are. Why are you crying? It's nothing, Yuna. I'm just moved to see such a pretty, smart girl. Don't move, okay? That's it. Little Yuna, you are a wonderful child. You and I are the same, you know. I understand how you feel. I need to talk to your dad. Do you want to call him for me? Uh, da. Right. I wonder if that was actually a mistake or not. Interesting. Might be Ren telling her Zaydada? I don't know. Maybe. I would have to confirm with Stoy on that. You're in pain, aren't you? Your mom isn't here and it pains you. Mama? You're a great little girl, but you really haven't had much luck. Why did you have to go through, why did you have to have these powers? What? Do not listen to me, I'm spouting nonsense. Ren is a grown-up and grown-ups often say nonsense. Ren? Takashi, you can come back. So, princess, did you make a new friend? Leave her alone, you're scaring her. Nonsense, the little princess isn't afraid of her dad, is she? With a voice like this, I would be. Ren. We need to talk, Takashi, seriously. It was not a simple Esper. She is not totally like me either. She is something else, at least I think. Something else? What do you mean by that? I'm not sure. Her powers are pretty similar to mine, but I think she might be able to do even more things than me. She is much more sensitive than us to our powers, and all they create is pain, unfortunately. Yuna is suffering, Takashi, and will only get worse. She has to learn to control her powers, and quickly, or the pain related to what has just happened will only grow. We must take responsibility and bring her to the academy. Prepare the car, I'll take care of Yuna. Chop chop. And now? And now we will tell the academy about Yuna and who she is. She must get help quickly for her own good. Must be examined by Espers other than me. We must measure the extent of her powers to determine the best way to help. Are you sure she can be trained properly? You felt her powers are a mystery to us, so for others. I don't want to make things up. I don't know how her powers will evolve, but we can't leave her like this. I don't want to send Yuna down a path whose destination I don't know. Rain, I know you can do more. I know Yuna and you are more alike than you want to admit. I've never done that, Takashi. Don't ask me to do that. Not after what happened between Yuna and I. Please. It's not me asking you, but Yuna. No, you can sail her powers for good without destroying her. No, I can't do that. It's too dangerous. I have faith in you, Rin. I know you can do it. Yuna's spirit will never find rest. Even if she is trained, even if she learns to master her powers, she will suffer from this all her life. As you have suffered. As you will still suffer, and much worse, maybe. I can't. It's beyond my strength. I do not want to give up like all this. I can't force you to do it. I know that asking you is selfish, but for Yuna. Get out! Get out of this office! Listen to me very carefully, Yuna. Rin will do her best so that you don't suffer anywhere, okay? You have to sit quietly here without moving. Everything will be alright. Rin will sacrifice some of her emotions to heal you, to heal something in you. Something that is hurting you, but everything will be fine for you. You will not feel anything except positive things. Are you ready, Yuna? Rin. Don't ever ask me to do a baby voice, apparently. I can't do it. At least not a female one. I should not have done that. Immediate regret. I finally realized how much Miss Hirabayashi was an extraordinary Esper and above all, an extraordinary person. A person who had not hesitated to sacrifice a part of her own life and put herself in danger for the good of another person. The third seal has been broken. When the seal broke, regret gave way to desire. Yuna was starting to wake up from a long dream that for too long was her only reality. You're going to find out who she really was. I had but one seal left to lift. The past of Miss Hirabayashi, Director Noyuni, and Yuna became clear, but I also began to understand what kind of Esper I really was. So, Rio, what kind of Esper are you? All these memories finally made sense. In order to seal Yuna's powers in a deeper and more lasting way, it was necessary to make a sacrifice. Miss Hirabayashi did it willingly for Yuna, and some of her memories were added to the emotions she sacrificed for the sake of the little girl. Why these memories? I was scared, afraid of being able to, or having to do the same thing, because that's what I was, and Esper were able to do that. I was no different from Miss Hirabayashi. She knew how to do well with her abilities, but I was going to be able to follow... but was I going to be able to follow that path? The only thing left was to understand why the task of saving Yuna was entrusted to me. Miss Hirabayashi had the same gift as me. She could have saved Yuna, especially since she knew exactly how to proceed. Why me? I was afraid of what I was going to discover. Took a deep breath and concentrated my efforts on the last seal. Anger. How are your powers, Ren? No better than yesterday, nor last week. I see. I don't know how to tell you. I can't do that anymore. My mind refuses to dive so deeply into someone else's again. It's over. Done. Even with the best will in the world, I couldn't do it anymore. And I still feel connected to Yuna. I have nightmares every night, and I'm sure it's the same for Yuna. I dream of... It doesn't matter. She is no longer of this world. But you must know that Yuna is suffering. She must feel and dream about things that happened to me, like me with her. There's still time to turn back, Takashi. It's only been 7 months. I think it's already too late. If you approach Yuna again, terrible things could happen, and if your mind refuses to deep dive into someone else's, I doubt you can do anything for Yuna. If you're trying to scare me, I warn you it won't work on me. I'm not in the mood. I'm serious, Ren. Not only did you see Yuna's powers, you left a part of you with her. If you came face to face, Yuna's mind could break. The part you left behind would return to you, and Yuna might not be able to contain that. Her mind would be torn forever. You'd have to get into her head again to undo what you did, but that's no longer possible if I believe what you're telling me. That's why you should never meet Yuna again. We can't risk that. Only space between you two and time, a lot of time, will put an end to her suffering. This conversation is over. You are forbidden from seeing Yuna. I will not let anyone hurt my daughter. You're the one who inflicted this on her. You and only you, all to protect yourself. By the way, I've changed Yuna's family name. Another name will arouse less suspicion. It's better for her and for me. Steal her life and then her name? You really are an absolute moron, Takashi. I know you can hear me, Yuna. Remember, I will save you, I promise. I don't know when or even how. I won't wait for your forgiveness either. But I will save you from the situation. You have my word. That's why it had to be me. The minds of those who were able to do such terrible things cannot stand to do it more than once. Miss Hirabayashi had been waiting for an Esper like me for all these years, never forgetting the promise she made to Yuna. And as I had mistakenly thought, she was not the origin of Yuna's name. Everything was the sort of work of one and the same person. I did not know if it was yet another proof of weakness or a proof of love that he could not separate her completely from her name, but it was too much. He had taken everything from Yuna. And the fourth seal has been broken. Like all the previous ones, the last seal broke. Everything was calm in Yuna's mind. The anger that existed there had disappeared. It was finally time for her to wake up. Rio. Rio? Rio. A voice echoed. I didn't know if it was was in my mind or Yuna's, but that voice was familiar to me. Yuna? Is that you, Yuna? It's me, Rio. Sort of. I'm only part of Yuna's subconscious, but you managed to wake up. You're not done yet, Rio. You have one more thing to do. You know what it is. Yuna, we need your strength. Rio, make us live again. Mama. What? Super Seal. Death. No. Life. What? The seal of death. No, yell life at it. It'll work. Spinning. Spin me right round, baby. Like a record. This would be a shitty record. Thank you. And the ultimate seal has been broken. Destroy the ultimate seal. Breaking all the other seals. Mr. Pasaki? Wake up, Mr. Pasaki. Hey! That slap was entirely unnecessary. Pull yourself together, you're back among us. Was that really necessary? You didn't seem to want to reconnect with your mind, and simply acted the most rational way. Her slap had the desired effect. I mean, We can't fault it for it, but come on. Could have been a different way. I maybe regained my senses, but something was still bothering me. Something that only took me a few moments to remember. Takashi. Takashi! Calm down, Mr. Misaki. He's outside with your friend. We made sure he didn't prevent you from carrying out your task. Takashi! Once again, calm down, Mr. Misaki. Since you're back with us, I guess that everything went well, that you did your best to save Yuna, and that you discovered what happened. All that's left is to wait and pray that Yuna finds meaning to her life and decides to wake up. Takashi. Oh god, we broke a wheel. All I can say is Takashi. He's here. You'll see him in due time. You stayed about 5 hours in Yu's mind. You need to calm down and reconnect to the real world. You may lose consciousness if you stay tense. We had time to talk to the principal. He realized that trying to interfere with your task wouldn't have any positive consequences and resigned to listen to us. I understand that you blame us after we have seen, but first we must focus on Yuna. Blame you? No. I only blame him. It's all his fault. How can I blame you? I understand what you did, but you did for Yuna. I have no words. I only understood what being an Esper was, thanks to you. How can I blame someone who sacrificed so much to try to help another? Yuna could have been trained. She might not have suffered as much, but it's not your fault. If you hadn't been pushed to do it, if nobody had taken advantage of the extreme sensitivity of your feelings for others, none of this would have happened. There is one and only one person responsible. A person you have already judged correctly a long time ago. A coward, manipulator. And yet, despite all that, can't I help thinking that part of his actions were still guided by his feelings for Yuna. Tell me I'm right. Tell me that this man isn't just a horrible individual who ruined Yuna's life. Takashi was, and still is, a very complicated man that you have already understood. He was an ambitious young man. His dream and goal were to become an exemplary Esper and principal. He wanted to be a model for others. He wanted to revolutionize our world. He only thought about his career and other Espers. He wanted to give himself every means to succeed. He wanted to surround himself with the best and leave nothing to chance. Nothing could get in his way, not even me. He had the qualities to succeed. Others had them too. He was talented, maybe even a bit special as well, but nothing that predestined him for this role more than any other Esper. What he had more than the others was his unshakable faith in himself. Some might have seen this as presumptuous behavior, but they were simply over convictions. He was convinced that he could and would change things. But the day he discovered that his life could be more than his personal aspirations as an Esper, a rift formed within him. I speak, of course, about his meeting with his now-deceased spouse. He lost nothing of his ideas and convictions, but they were no longer his one and only goal. He had finally discovered something else, something that changed him forever. But I was wrong about him, at least partly. I only understood that many years after the events that you just discovered. So I'm forgiven him for what he did, what he made me do, but I came to understand some of the meaning behind his actions. This inner conflict had not made him weaker and more suggestible as I thought, but more calculating, colder too. Stronger in his convictions, and that was only the beginning. His separation from his wife and the announcement of her illness so soon after Yuna's birth finished transforming him. But things had already changed forever. Yuna was here now. He was in a situation where none of the possibilities at his disposal were entirely satisfactory from his point of view. He and Yuna had no happy future together. All solutions led to pain and suffering for both of them. He couldn't accept it and put a plan in place. A plan that he was going to lose control on and that would lead us here today, and that would cause Yuna great harm, as you just discovered. But in his heart, he held her close. He had always held her close. More than anything else, I felt it from the first moment that he talked to me about Yuna. And paradoxically, it is these sincere feelings that guided these more than questionable choices. He did what I understood as the worst choice for Yuna, but this choice was also the one that most exemplified his feelings for his daughter. It took me years to understand that. He was narrow-minded and selfish, but deep inside, he just couldn't give up Yuna. Yuna couldn't have been adopted and raised like any other child, not with her powers. She was too special. She would have been very quickly detected and torn to form her new family, and Takashi didn't want that. He didn't want to inflict another separation on her. What if he had retired? What if he had confessed everything much earlier? He would probably have been exiled from the Order of the Espers and kept out of control. He would not be here today, that's for sure. He was wanting to protect himself from that, of course, but in hindsight, I know now that it was not the only reason. Yuna would have been taken care of by a foreign academy, and he would never have been able to see her again. She, for her part, would have lived in a lie. Lived in lie? Lived a With sole memories of her family as a few fragmented images and faded sensations of the very first few years of her life. Even if she were trained, Yuna's powers would have made her suffer. Takashi didn't want that. He didn't want to let anyone hurt Yuna. He didn't want her to suffer, but unfortunately any path Yuna could take led to pain and sorrow, and that he had understood. Since he had no other choice but to hurt his daughter, he preferred that it be by his own hand. What he did, what he maybe do. The situation also allowed him to protect himself. It is even the first thing that emerged from this choice. But I could not let Yuna suffer. I knew how she felt. So, you also know, you endured the same thing before arriving at the academy. There was only one way to really relieve her. Erase her powers. Takashi thought it was possible and that would solve everything. As for me, I had no idea. I didn't even want to think about it. Nobody had ever done anything like that. But to be able to do such a thing, you would need an Esper with exceptional abilities, an Esper like me. For Yuna's sake, and because I knew what she was going through, I decided to give in to Takashi's whims and dived into the young girl's mind. But things didn't go as planned. I had already accepted the idea of having to sacrifice the power of some of my emotions to come up with such a miracle. I knew that such a thing could not be easy, but Takashi made a mistake. It was impossible for me to simply erase Yuna's powers. She was already too strong. Her mind was already too powerful. Mind and powers are linked. Powers are but a small part of an Esper's mind. The strength of our powers comes from the power of our mind. But that's not all. Our powers also have a conscious part that allows them to act as an autonomous entity, and a powerful mind doesn't necessarily entail a strong, resistant mind. To express themselves, our powers must influence our minds, and it is for this very reason that the most powerful Espers are trained. To train their minds not to be led around by their powers, but to do the exact opposite, namely, submit them to their will. Yuna unfortunately had no experience. Her powers completely invaded her mind, which became their slave. An entity born of her extremely strong powers now controlled Yuna's mind. Under the influence of this entity, her mind defended itself against me, against this foreign sensation that was trying to take away part of her identity. I tried to control myself, but I was angry. Angry at myself, at Takashi, and there was also the anger of Yuna's mind, unnervingly clouded by her powers seeking to defend itself. As the battle raged on, I was invaded by negative emotions. The strength of these emotions was about to lead me to victory. But faced with an entity stronger than myself, I lost control. The entity, understanding what had happened, decided to punish us. This force that controlled Yuna had read my mind and knew why I had come. It had evaded me as I had evaded it, and saw my intentions clear as day. Yuna was the most powerful Esper I had ever met, and she had unconsciously just proved it to me. So that we would never forget what we had tried to do, the entity used my ability to seal itself. I couldn't resist. This is how Yuna's powers were sealed. Holy crap, so much dialogue. By my fault, because of me, while I was trying to do much worse. And during those few moments when I too was a slave to this entity, it snatched away some of the emotions that I could not control, which were now full of the memories you just saw. These emotions were attached to the seals themselves, placed at the root of Yuna's powers, where only a handful of Espers can hope to reach. Thus, the secret of what had been done couldn't be erased. It remained bound to Yuna and her powers. At the same time, I was expelled from Yuna's mind. While I regretted my actions, it was already too late. My mind refused to relive an experience like that. I could not undo what I had just done. I hid these details from Takashi, but I had to tell him that his plan had failed and that his daughter's powers had only been sealed, not erased. Understanding this, he entrusted Yuna's guard to his spouse's best friend, who lived here in Noraha, and who was very close to them, but once again, the situation was complicated. Takashi changed Yuna's name so as not to arouse suspicion, but didn't put her up for adoption. He is, of course, Yuna's biological father, but he is still her legal guardian, as surprising as that may seem today. He made this woman, Suyu, who was also under his spell and unable to resist, swear to hide Yuna and take care of her like a mother, without ever telling her about him. Takashi was aware of what might happen to Yuna because of her powers and didn't want to expose her. Suyu took care of Yuna for almost 10 years without knowing who she really was. She followed Takashi's instructions and didn't send Yuna to school. She took care of her schooling and her development. But despite everything, Suyu remained honest with Yuna. She quickly told her that she was not her real mother and that she would take care of her like one. But that their relationship stopped there, so despite all that Takashi had tried to do, Yuna lived with the pain of knowing nothing or very little about her parents. A few years ago, because of her work, Suyu became more distant from Yuna. She was often away and Yuna lived alone most of the time. Suyu was doing her best to take care of Yuna, but things were different. Yuna, despite being only 13 years old, often had to live alone independently. Strangely, and despite what she had already begun to feel because of the seals placed out of powers, Yuna was doing very well. She was a perfectly responsible and very intelligent girl. But unfortunately, Her elements could only get worse. The more time passed, the more she suffered and the more she forgot herself until the day she finally completely forgot who she was. Her mind could no longer endure the presence of external feelings and memories and gradually closed off. To protect itself, keeping a voice it thought it had heard years ago as hope. The voice of a young woman in distress who had promised to save her. There, now you know everything. I don't know if that answers your questions. I still blame Takashi for meta reasons. But over time I was able to understand many of the things that at that time I had not, and that's why I never gave up on him. It happened 2 years before your arrival at the academy, an arrival that I still remember. My powers were still hampered by what I had done to Yuna, therefore I didn't feel your abilities as out of the ordinary at the time. My mind was still closed to any kind of similar experience. Stealing your powers was enough to put your abilities asleep, but even if I had felt something at that moment, you couldn't have done anything for many years. We could have acted sooner, yes, but Yuna would still have suffered a lot. As such, I waited for years for my powers to stabilize, for an Esper like me, like Yuna, like you, in order to keep my promise and save her. No one else could have done it, and talking about it wouldn't have helped anyone. It would have done more harm to more people and destroyed any chance of saving Yuna. We were at a dead end since that day. Takashi lived in fear that his secret would be discovered and that his daughter would be harmed. And I was afraid of not being able to fulfill my promise to Yuna. I could not talk to Takashi about this. He would have been too scared that things were slipping out of his control. Sending you here was, for him, a test. He wanted to check that the powers of a competent Esper would do no harm to his daughter and that his secret was now sealed for eternity. I was of course against it, but that was before discovering who you really were. And after years of patience, fate finally decided to give me a chance. Takashi didn't anticipate that an Esper like you could go undetected by his powers. He thought he would be able to feel what he had previously felt in me and in Yuna. But what he never wanted to admit is that since these events, his powers were no longer the same. He was, like me, deeply touched by what happened. By what he had done, by what he had made me do, by what he was trying to hide. And whereas I have had the strength to overcome this and regain full control of my abilities, he let himself be be overcome by remorse and shame, leaving his powers and sometimes even his deeds to be dictated by his emotions. That's why he wasn't able to realize who you really were, but I also believe this is the reason why he sent you to Noraha. Unconsciously, his mind must have felt that you were special. Something must have happened within him. When he came in contact with you, I think that's what drove him to send you here. He didn't know why, but he probably felt the need to see you here, and that feeling led to this. But you understand me correctly, his decision was not made in order to save you, no? Maybe he would have made the same decision if he had been aware of your abilities. But that we will never know. What I'm sure of is the reason he sent you here was to relieve his mind that was troubled by a need he could not explain and nothing else. I need to talk to him. I'll go get him and get some fresh air. Some things I thought I had lost have been coming back to me since you entered Yuna's mind. I need some time. Nah, I need a goddamn moment to fucking take a break with my voice. Especially since... look, yes, Noyuni has hair. That. I've been told that you know what happened about what happened with Yuna. I am sorry. Sorry? You are a coward. Everything that happened is your fault. All the suffering. Mr. Hirobayashi. Me. Yuna. And you're sorry? Tell me the truth. Did you at least regret your actions? Every minute of every hour of every day. Not a moment goes by without me thinking of my mistakes. But what did you want me to do? It was too late. Nothing could be done. Nothing. You can't imagine just how wrong you are. You spent all this time with a person who never stopped thinking that Yuna could be saved, and you tell me that nothing could have been done? You are still a coward because you stopped believing, because you pitied yourself. What you regret are your mistakes, yes. You regret what they have changed for you, not for others. That's not true! Can't imagine what Yuna means to me. She's all I have left. I find that hard to believe, really, but I will give you one last chance. If what you said is true, it's time to prove it. It's time for you to take responsibility. I can never forget what you've done. I would never forgive you. You've done too much harm to too many people, and even if you sincerely regret your actions, what you have done can never be forgotten. But that's not what matters for the moment. Someone more important than you, than me. A person who has already suffered too much. Yuna. Yay, more cheerful music. A week ago, I didn't even know her. Even yesterday, I didn't know how I was going to be able to save her. But as I'm talking to you now, I'm convinced to manage to give Yuna a chance. But that won't be enough. Yuna wants a real reason to live. Yuna is calling you. She's waiting for you to wake up. Despite of all that you have inflicted on her, she's waiting for you, because unfortunately, you are all she has left. Forget the past. Prove to me that you can be the brave man that Miss Hirabayashi described to me. Take Yuna's hand and bring her back to us. If you don't, then she will never wake up. Ever. Yuna. The principal kneeled next to Yuna, caressed her face, and then grasped her hand firmly in his. No sound came out of his mouth, but his tears spoke more than any word could have. The time had come for him to own up to his mistakes. I moved away from them and took place at a little distance, where Miss Hirabayashi finally joined me to witness this unspeakable scene, that of a man who had just realized that he had never been one. Been a man, specifically. His eyes filled with shame and sadness could not set themselves on Yuna's face, his own daughter, whom he finally realized to have abandoned. Miss Hirabayashi and I could not restrain our tears as well, as bewitched by a sorrow that we could not resist and even less undo. It was Yuna, we understood from the moment we were struck by this force. That was all the power and compassion of the greatest Esper ever. Many long minutes went by, long minutes during which we only had Yuna's pardon to hope for. And finally that moment arrived. Yuna opened her eyes and her lips began to move. Yuna was saved. Oh god, all this voice acting-ish for 6 hours now is starting to fucking tear me apart. Miss Hirabayashi and I left the room to join Brett, who was waiting outside. He contacted Yana by phone, who had returned to her home a few hours ago, to tell her the good news and to relieve her tormented spirit. I felt the link between her and me crumbling, leaving behind a feeling of relief, joy, and happiness. Right, Miss Hirabayashi and I returned to the academy in the hours that followed, leaving the principal a few hours to start making up for the lost time with Yuna. The next day, the principal and Yuna arrived at the academy, and the story, kept secret for so many years, was finally revealed to all. The end. Or is it? It's not quite. But sir, you can't end a story like that. Or end that story like that. Sucks. Sucks. It was a beautiful story, wasn't it? Yuna and her honor were saved? Yes, but what became of all the others? Oh yeah, sorry. Upon arriving at the academy, Yuna spent some time with me to thank me for saving her, and then did the same with Miss Hirabayashi. She was then taken care of by other Espers to attend to her still fragile health. During the day, Miss Hirabayashi honored her promise and had Brett graduate from the academy. He had more than proved himself as an Esper who had not hesitated to put himself in danger to help his friends. Brett, however, had to prove that he was well able to control his powers and make good use of them, and was given, despite his graduation and unofficial tests, that he succeeded as everyone expected with ease. A few days later, the principal and Miss Hirabayashi were summoned by the OUE. Mr. Noyuni took all the blame and proposed to withdraw unconditionally after having trained a new principal, which was accepted. Considering the happy outcome of the story and the principal's sincere feelings, the Esper officials decided to be lenient with him, even allowing him to see Yuna regularly. There is no doubt that this decision was taken in order to allow Yuna to see her father. Miss Hirabayashi was found not guilty, and even more so. Her courage and perseverance was greeted by a well-deserved promotion, making her one of the most important Espers and most likely to become the next head of the OUE. And this new principal who was trained is none other than me. For 7 years now, I am in charge of this academy, but I don't work alone. I am surrounded by faces that might seem familiar to you. Brett, first of all, who, despite his field work, doesn't hesitate to teach classes here from time to time, or to help me when necessary. He became an extremely brilliant Esper who deserved this job a lot more than me. He said he was satisfied with his current position. Miss Hirabayashi oversees our work as part of her new responsibilities at the OUE. She remains very close to Yuna and therefore to us, and doesn't hesitate to help me make things progress for Espers. And finally, Yuna. Yuna is still a student at this academy. My role at the principal's chair has changed a lot, you know. I began with the help of Miss Hirabayashi by repealing the law to hide from young Espers that we sealed their powers. That's why I was able to tell you the story in so much detail. I then worked to expand the academy and finally to fill all the space that was now available to us. I opened the academy to more Espers, especially to older, weaker Espers. It is for this reason that Yuna was allowed to join the academy. Despite her age, she has a few more years left here, but she's already an incredible Esper and an incredible woman, as you can imagine. It took her a while to get used to being herself at last, but she is now completely fulfilled. She travels regularly to Naraha to visit to the woman who raised her and also takes the opportunity to greet and spend some time with another person with whom she is now friends and who has also found joy in her life. Certain someone by the name of Ayano. That's it. I think that's everything. This time I think I can say that my story is over. That was a great story, mister. And if you're all here today, it's because you too are Espers. You too can, in a few years, help others and give them the will to live again. You too will have beautiful stories to tell the younger Espers when you grow up. And you too, perhaps, will make history. So, can I count on you? Yeah. Yeah. The end. I forget, do the credits play after this? I don't remember. If not, we will quickly go through the credits. Credits. Roll. So yeah, Esper Make You Live Again, developed by Stoy, the author of Warframe Builder, which I mentioned at the very beginning. Nicholas, can't even fucking pronounce his last name. I'm not even gonna try, because I don't want to butcher it. Oh, there were 2 artists for this game. I was wrong earlier. I said there was 1. I was mistaken. There was 2 apparently. My bad. And 3 different music composers that got songs from. And there was a person who did the original English translation. And my name is in that special thanks list for helping out. I don't know who the other 2 are, but if I had to guess, the other one might be the other person that also looked over the translation after I did. I could be wrong on that. Who knows? But these credits, by the way, will just indefinitely play. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly go through some of my thoughts about this game. First off, I enjoyed the story. It's an interesting story. I definitely have some complaints, though. And that's more of a fact that it's a kinetic novel, and less of a typical visual novel, where even if you don't have impactful choices in a visual novel, in a lot of cases, there's still choices. I wish to have been able to see that in this game, but I understand why Story didn't. He had a story to tell, he wanted to tell said story, and kinetic novel was the best format for him. If we actually go into the bonus section, you can read over it briefly yourself, but there's a lot here. This game actually started as an RPG Maker project, which he scrapped and eventually did some other shit with, and then eventually came to this. So, yeah. I think it worked out well for him. I just wish it was a bit more of a visual novel feeling. But I do completely understand why he did what he did. I do have some more other specifics with that on my Steam review of this game, which, by the way, it is $8. I actually have the page up right now. Wait, why are you telling me to sign in, Steam? I am signed in. This is the store page via Steam. Weird. Very weird. But whatever. Some of the other complaints I've had or one of the other major complaints I had was there's no text-to-speech reading or voice actors. He did this game on a very limited budget. A very, very limited budget. And he actually spent most of his money on this game in development purposes, from my understanding anyway. So, if this game doesn't sell well for him, I don't know what he's going to do in the long run. I hope he continues to make games, because I really enjoyed the story, and perhaps he can consider making I want to call it a proper visual novel, but more of a visual novel in the sense of having choices, even, like I said, even if they're not impactful in the long run. I would love to see that. And for him to be able to actually get some voice actors or something as a option to be able to have us be read to rather than us reading everything. Granted, stream purposes, I had a lot more fun definitely reading it aloud than reading it to myself when I was going over it. But I promised Toy not to stream or talk about the game or do anything in detail until it was finally ready. Otherwise I would have totally streamed my portion of reading over the dialogue and whatnot. But yeah, I promised him that. He asked me, so you know, did that. That said, there is a demo for this game. One of the great things about this game is there is a demo. I don't know of too many games that actually offer a demo. Demos are wonderful. Demos make me want to actually check out the game to see if I even care about it, to even buy it. Check out the demo if you are curious about this game, to see if you actually really love it or not. Even though, at this point, I guess technically you probably would have seen everything. But, no, you would have seen everything. But, I mean, whatever. Yeah, not many games do that anymore, and it saddens me, because I love being able to see that on games. The demo is great. Any other comments at all? Not really. I don't have any other comments at the moment. There is a lot of bonus material. Hopefully there aren't too many mistakes in the long run of the game, besides what you've seen here. Any of the text mistakes that I saw for the English translation, I have sent off to Story to get fixed. So, hopefully if you're to play this game yourself, those mistakes aren't there anymore. But, yeah, there's additional bonus sections. I'm not going to go over those on recording or anything. You are free to look over those yourself if you buy this game. That way I don't spoil anything. I just wanted to make a comment about that. There's also stuff here you can look at, and you can also listen to the music, individual songs if you really wanted to, which apparently also stops the song. You know, replay particular scenes, etc., etc. Yeah. That'll be it for me for Esper, Make You Live Again. I really do hope Story continues with his game developments. Well, I guess this is it until the next game. Whatever the next game may be. Don't know when this is releasing on YouTube, so yeah.